Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Okay, I see Robert here. So we can go ahead and start our sound check. Perfect. You preempted my question. Thank you. All right. As we wait here for others to join, who else is here? It should be better than this because, again, it gives me J, U, Ella, and it says +4. But the +4, until they post comments later, I won't know exactly who's here because I can't see the avatars. Okay, I clear my throat. I have my magnesium drink here. Okay, well, welcome everyone. Um, we had some good comments, and I wanna, while we are waiting for, hi Nelson, good to have you here with us. Hello to you. Hey, Sue and Fireman John. This is going to be your first live show here with us, right? You just joined, so welcome. Welcome. Okay, great. Oh, now I see 3 plus 7. If I count myself, that would be good. Wow, this is great. Um, quickly, I want to go over a couple of let's call it what I don't even know what we would call this, but Jeffrey, if you're here this evening, are you here? Hi, Angel. Happy Sunday to you as well. Old Luce. Is it Old Luce like Italian, or am I killing it? Is it supposed to be Old Luce? Okay. So if you were to put that there, I will make sure I pronounce it correctly. Good. Um, Jeffrey, I am trying to figure out how to have more than one person for our lives here on Patreon. And we can talk about education and the state of education. And those of you who were not following the comment section, Jeffrey has been a teacher for a long, long time, and he can bring in some needed fresh perspectives here. So, for that, I did some research on Patreon, and it said Patreon doesn't allow it directly. However, you can connect your Zoom through following steps. So that is something I'm looking into, and I'm going to figure it out hopefully soon, so we can have sometimes duos here, and I can have some of our members to provide their experiences, their perspective. It will enrich everything so much more, and that would be great. And hi, Sue in Baltimore. Sue, you know that I lived in Old Town Alexandria, Washington, D.C. area for 26 years. We were there till about 2009. So, yeah, that's where we lived. We were right in the heart of Old Town Alexandria, and used to go to Baltimore and Annapolis a lot. So, welcome. Good to see you here with us. Also, I looked into, I don't remember, I don't know how Luce is pronounced. My real name is Mark from, oh, hi, Mark from England. 9, 10, 11. Oh my goodness, it must be 1:30 in the morning your time, or are you in the States from England? Um, yes, Jeffrey, as I was saying, in order for you to contribute and have the mic time, first I have to figure out how to connect our Zoom because Patreon doesn't provide it directly. So I'm looking into it, and once I figure out how to connect Zoom to our Patreon Live, then I can bring you in. Okay. Now I have to, oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so you're a night owl like me, because I'm like you. In Italy, we will say "oh luce," luce. So let's say it luce. Luce is good. Okay. So that one for that, and I don't remember. Somebody gave a nice information here, piece of information saying we should look into Oklahoma Surgery Center as a medical hospital provider that has its own model. And I'm really thankful. I believe it was Patrick. I may be wrong. I looked into it, and yes, that's great because what Oklahoma Surgery Center does is they bypass all the Medicare stuff, all the insurance stuff is direct pay, but there is a good catch there. It is so much cheaper than the regular hospitals because one of the main reasons the prices of healthcare is so ridiculous when you go to the emergency room when you need surgery, right? Let's say they would charge you. I'm just gonna throw a number here. They charge me like $7,900 plus dollar to just do the scan of my kidneys, right? And if I needed a procedure, the way they add things, everything is like 5 times more than what it should be. So it's not the case with Oklahoma Surgery Center. And so I think I was talking about, there is this two groups, one saying, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, because if we do provide other types of medical healthcare to our people, it's going to be the communist model. Government is going to step in and it's going to be terrible, the whole thing with that. And during even my live session on this YouTube that I did recently, I was talking about I have been to other countries, even in other European countries. It's not only one, it's not just government provided. This is the only thing you have. They have options. Meaning, let's say if your financial situation bracket is in this particular group, right? Then you can have your necessities met by government provided healthcare, okay? And then if you're very wealthy and you want some type of a boutique kind of a more jazzed up type of a hospital. You want the equivalent of Harvard graduated famous doctors giving you extra treatment. Then you can direct pay, or they have an additional insurance for something like €150 because your other healthcare is free, but you're rich. €150 is nothing to you, so you can have that. In Turkey, they have another layer as well, and that is what they call like a mobile clinic, like clinics. Okay, some of them are mobile, but for surgeries, you go to places, and that would be for people who can't even, pay their whatever 5-10% in addition to what government pays for your healthcare. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not like one size fits all. What we have here is like these are the prices, and the model that for this Oklahoma Surgical Center, I see that being a very good option for, again, certain category. Okay, for example, once upon a time, um, by then my husband was over 65, so he had his Medicare through his Social Security. But my daughter and I obtained, oh my God, obtained Blue Cross Blue Shield's insurance, right? And at the time when we got it, neither of us had any pre-existing conditions. I had never been to hospitals. I didn't have, like, I was in perfect health. Okay, we were blessed. She was in a perfect health, right? And so, okay, this is what we were paying. We were paying, this didn't include dentals, right? $1,350 a month, right? And each one of us, my daughter and I, had $7,500 in deductibles, like combined $15,000 per year, right? So if you start adding those up, right, the 1350, let's say $1,400 per year, you're spending like over 17,000 for the insurance, whether you have even set foot in any hospitals. In addition to, even if you had set foot, you have 7,500 deductibles. You add that and say, let's say I don't have insurance. Instead of paying the insurance company, hopefully I won't have it every year. emergencies or surgery need, I put aside that money in a saving account, right? Maybe I get some interest on it, and including the deductible that would pay for the surgery, right? And I'm not going to need it every year. So what I'm trying to say is, um, we I know you do, old Lucia, you get it in England, and the same, um, and Palantir gets our medical records. Of all the European countries I have been to, Jeff, I lived in UK. I went to Oxford St Mary's College in 2003 and 2004, and I used to go to London a lot before that. But it was my understanding that it's very bureaucratic, because when I was living in Turkey, I was interviewing British expats there, right? And they had settled in Turkey, and those videos are still available on YouTube News. But if I remember, I have to take a note here. I will post it. Anyhow, they were saying, they had to make an appointment, and they would be in this quay, and it would be 6 months, and it was disastrous. um, I saw in Spain it works so very good, and and then Greece has its own model, is decent. I use healthcare system in Switzerland. There was some sort of a small emergency. I kind of got familiar with that. But what I'm trying to say, in Turkey, there are like four options, and even with those, let's say, most people, let's say, fit in middle class group, they go to the government hospitals, right? Then you have this upper middle class brackets. They pay something like $100 per month for a family, and they get access, in addition to having the free access to all the government hospitals, they have access to a second tier, which is private, is like one level up. Then for people who are wealthier, there are these uber luxury hospitals, okay? And for example, all the surgeons and doctors have been educated in Germany, in the UK, etc. Okay, so and for that you pay something like $235 for for the whole family, and then the real rich people, they have their helicopters and they just go wherever they want to go. They usually go to Switzerland. So it's not like either or. You have only one system, and all these systems together can coexist, so that what we say, healthcare is accessible to all. Healthcare is not luxury. Okay, this is going to be about Gladio. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge I'm reading all the comments, and we will address those, and we will have other speakers. Now, as you know, I posted a few little background video links and some links from my previous Operation Gladio B. Operation Gladio 2.0 is the way also some people refer to. So, to just warm us up, for those of us who were not with me with Newsbud, with Boiling Frogs Post before that, because since 2008, 2009, I was at the time when I came out and I started talking about the Operation Gladio and what it was, and Operation Gladio B, the fact that Operation Gladio didn't cease its operations after the fall of the Soviet Union. When I started talking about these, and the fact that the state secrets privileged dealt, and it was meant to cover up, to silence, to basically keep the people, in the dark on the Operation Gladio B, the Operation Gladio continuing with different objectives. Okay, mostly different, not all different objectives, since the fall of the Soviet Union. And the countries, one of the main, if not the top country for Operation Gladio, is and has been Turkey. And the reason for that, those of you who have the map in front of you as I'm talking, all you have to do is look at Turkey right in front of you, right? Now, Turkey half Europe, half Asia, right? It's like one third of it, and the top is considered in Europe, the rest of it is in Asia. Turkey is a Muslim country, but look at the borders, right? Black Sea, right? Mediterranean Sea, and above it, Aegean Sea, all connected because you have this canal that goes from Black Sea to into the Mediterranean, and from there up you can go, elsewhere, all the way up to northern Western Europe. Now, and look at the neighbors, right? You see the neighbors, Turkey's neighbors on the map through Black Sea. If you look at the north, and then you look at Georgia and Armenia. You look at Iraq in the south, a major oil hub, oil country. You look at Iran right there to the east of Iraq, there in the south, right? So it's towards eastern part of Turkey. Again, natural gas and oil. So, and also the strategic, and Syria, of course, with Golan Heights there, which is important. So you see why geopolitically Turkey is so extremely important for any empire, because that region, it was not always Turkey, Constantinople, that area, throughout the entire basically history, whether during the Roman Empire, that was when they said, in order to rule the world, and for them the world meant that part, because the Silk Road, right? The access to all the spices and the raw material, even 1,000 years ago, right? It was through that region that today is called Turkey. Constantinople is the gateway to the Silk Road, right? And that never changed. Geopolitically is extremely important. Now, with everything that, I mean, the few things that I posted, because I didn't want to overwhelm you by bombarding you, but look at this particular article that is 12 pages. I just wanted for those of you who never had a chance or didn't come across this whole Operation Gladio and NATO, right? Right after Cold War, not the Cold War, World War II ended into the Cold War, just to get a little sense, right? I put the video there, and that particular guy, and that would be Paul Williams. I can't vouch for him. I haven't delved deeply, and when I tried, I didn't find much in terms of, how he got this so-called expertise. And his book and his that interview actually came about 10 years after I already became the first person talking about exposing Operation Gladio 2.0, right? So, and the Gulen, who was this Turkish cleric, and he was talking about that, which was basically all the talking points that we had put out there. I had put out there through my Boiling Frogs post, Corbett report, Newsbud later, articles, videos, interview with Lou Rockwell, with Tom Woods, etc., antiwar.com. So that's for that guy. But he had some good points taken from the things that had already become public, that he referred to and he talked about. So I thought that would be a good little gateway kind of a thing for you, those of you who are kind of not as familiar with Operation Gladio and Gladio 2.0 to get. Then I posted a video with this lengthy 1+ hour with this amazing guy, right? This one I have read his book. I looked into his background. Yes, he's an expert, and he actually, at least for the European part of it, especially Italy. And this is Daniel Ganser. Okay, he's a Swiss professor, right, academic, who decided in 1990s that he was going to do his dissertation for his PhD and his specialization on Operation Gladio, not 2.0 people, okay? Because as you know, with PhD, you have to take a small, tiny little small piece, then make it smaller and focus on that in order for it to be comprehensive. Write your 150-page doctorate on that. And because he lived and went to school, university in Luganos, okay, Lugano, Switzerland, and if you're just interested, you can look it up, is right on the border of northern Italy, right? In Italy, northern Italy has this lake region, like Lake Como is right there, and you just go across the Lake Como and you're in Switzerland, okay? Border of Switzerland. And when you cross, that's the first town in the same lake region. And Lake Lugano is there. It's one of the most beautiful little cities in the world. It's small, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. Now I'm kind of salivating here. It's been so long. So he's from Lugano. And being a Swiss, he's fluent in English, in Dutch, German, and of course Italian, being from Lugano. And the name Gladio was first coined for Operation Gladio's Italian arm, their arm in Italy, right after World War II, because there were several countries where Operation Gladio uh, positioned itself as the hub, as the centers to conduct its operation, right? Strategy of tension for the purpose, this is the quoted purpose, to counter communism and the Soviet Union and prevent the expansion of the communist Soviet Union as an empire, into the Western world, Western Europe, Northern Europe, because Soviet Union, the bloc also included Eastern European countries, right? They were all part of the Soviet bloc during the communism. Romania, Bulgaria, they were all under the Soviet Union. The Cold War. I don't have to explain Cold War to you, but that was the stated reasoning. Well, it's kind of incomplete because here is how it would have been a complete explanation why we want Operation Gladio, and creating artificially, not organically, the tension in some of these countries in order to prevent any sympathy for the Soviet Union, which would enable the communist Soviet Union's expansion. Why was it incomplete? Because it was not only we didn't want the Soviet Union empire become bigger empire and invade and colonize, right, as any empire would do, other countries, expand, that we the Western world, and in this particular case the lead in Operation Gladio was the United States of America, right there at the top, and its lieutenant right little below it would be the United Kingdom, right? The England, right? To say we want to expand, right? And become bigger empire and invade and colonize via various methods. Okay? So with that, when I say expand the empire, where did we want to expand? Well, take a look at the map of the world, because when you look at Western Europe, okay, Northern Europe, these countries, sure, we have some, they have some, oil and natural resources on the North Sea, okay, in North Sea area. But the heart of natural resource, oil, natural gas, right, minerals and everything would be where would be during those years, right? Late 1940s into 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Libya, uh, Turkey, right? And Afghanistan and that region. He said, well, so it was not only, which that's what it was stated, We are creating this Operation Gladio because this is what they say. Now, finally, they have admitted after 6 years because they denied. They're like, what are you talking about? That's conspiracy theory. What Operation Gladio? What? Huh? Huh? Well, they know it's too late. So they know that portion, the original Gladio, not 2.0, not Operation Gladio B. Even the CIA, in one of the stuff I posted, you can actually click on the link, and there are all these redacted, hundreds of pages from the CIA, basically saying, "Ah, these were the Operation Gladio." But omitting, even after admitting to it, saying, yeah, we wanted to prevent their expansion. They never add the full picture. We wanted to be the bigger empire. We wanted to be the invader, and we wanted to control the Middle East and Northern Africa and Near East and all those stuff, right? So that goes without saying. And I'm sure with the critical thinking people we have, um, it's hi, Jilly from the United Kingdom. So this is good because I'm sitting here, I'm not in front of the camera, meaning I have my reading glasses on because I can't read anything nowadays without my reading glasses. It started a few years ago, and I can actually connect and feel connected and make this feel so real, like we are together sitting and chatting, and also not have listeners feel like, okay, here I am, this like I'm kind of acting like some sort of an expert professors, and I'm lecturing you all. So we can just chat too in the middle of things. Okay, so back to Daniel Ganser, right? This guy, oh my goodness, he actually really delved into it, and he started writing his book, and it's an amazing book. Okay, I but again, his book, because he speaks Italian, because he's in the Italian part of Switzerland, right? He concentrated, all his concentration practically was placed on Italy, all the different terror incidents that we, the United States CIA, together with our NATO cells, created and killed all these Italians, the carnages, the bloodshed, and then we blamed it. Okay, the way we organize it, when I say we, the United States, saying it was the Soviet Union and Soviet Union agents and the Soviet Union sympathizers, the socialists, the leftists, the liberals, the left wing, the communists, just like McCarthy era, right? Okay, so his was all, you know, now the real heart of Operation Gladio, both during the Cold War, Operation Gladio Original 1.0, right? And later, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union, was and has been always Turkey. Okay? Turkey is a member of NATO. Okay? We have the US Air Base in Turkey. We have implemented the United States several coup in Turkey. And look at the geopolitical strategic positioning of Turkey, right? Turkey has been always the in the West, the headquarter always was Western Europe was Belgium. Okay, of course, NATO. Okay, and Operation Hub, the main one always has been Turkey. Italy was a small part of it. So what did they do to just simplify it, to make it kind of basic, right? Not getting into mumbo jumbo and detail, saying this is our modus operandi. We have these, we provide the weapons, okay? We write the scenario, we, the United States, the Central Intelligence Agency, okay, together with the Brits, but we are in the lead role of situations and terror incidents that would be, what would it do with these situations, with these terror incidents, with these events that we concoct, we write the scenario for, and we execute, we implement strategy of tension. We create tension, meaning we will pit one group against another group. We, in this two groups, we make one, even though we are doing it, and that would be the socialists, the liberals, the communists, everyone. So it was not just some Soviet sympathizers, anybody on the left, okay? We say these people did it because these people, these Italian, Christian Italian people here, they are Soviet Empire sympathizers, and this is how they are. They are evil. Look, they are killing their fellow Italians. And this this modus operandi, Operation Gladio, worked like magic. It exactly did what it intended to do, right? There was this Bologna train station, right? They blew up this bomb there, and then you had dozens of people severely injured. Many people got killed, and without any kind of real evidence, with cooked up stuff, they said this was done by leftist Communist Party members of Italians. These are Italian people who are sympathizers of the Soviet regime, right? And well, the public bought it. Not only that, they made sure Operation Gladio CIA, they made sure not only they did it with coordination with NATO, but also with certain factions of Italian government, right? Let's say the prime minister of Italy, let's say, didn't really even know about it. But there would be a couple of generals in military Italian Italy, in military in Italy, and the head of, let's say, the intelligence agency in Italy, right? Those would be in the know, like the central agency would select, like these are like our people. But let's say the prime minister is very plausible that wouldn't even know about it because it was very tightly guarded. Okay. The third factions, they also, and this is very interesting, and that's one of the things that Paul Williams introduced in his book and talked about during the interview, just briefly. The other arm that CIA cooperated and brought on board was Vatican, right? Religion is always religious institutions are always needed for these types of things to work, whether you are doing it via mosques, right, co-opting some clerics and mullahs and mosques to train and recruit and train terrorists like Islamic terrorists, right? Same thing. When part of the plan always includes the main religious faction there. Okay, so exactly, Fireman John, the Red Brigade is a prime example of Operation Gladio. Perfect. See, this is the whole thing. I think, I don't even know. Let's see, we have 12, 13, 14 people right now here. So I don't want to get into it too much because probably all of you were with me before with Newsbud and Boiling Frogs Post. So that was his concentration. Ganser's concentration was Italy. So Turkey goes basically untouched. Now, with this podcast series that we're gonna do, and in addition to this, is what I'm thinking. Either I'm gonna announce whether it's gonna be Wednesdays or Thursdays because I like to stick with schedule. I'm that kind of a person. I'm OCD, so probably it's gonna be either Wednesday or Thursday. I would put one episode, like episode one intro, episode two on this that I would record, so it will be more structured, so I won't get sidetracked and then talk about some of the other things, which makes it more fun for me, believe me or not, because for years, for decades, I have done sit down, write the article, write your bullet points, put the examples there, type it, print it, put it there, and then organize it, then sit down and record, right? You sit there and you put your hair, you put your microphone and you record. I mean, I don't say I don't like it, it's fine. But the live sessions we do, which I'm going to keep it Sundays, 8:30 p.m., is more like interactive. We talk about things, we can laugh. It's kind of more spontaneous and it is much more casual and it's not really structured. Obviously, we have gone up to like 2 hours, etc. Now, so that's why I posted those two interviews. I also, before that, had a post there with like 7, 8 links to my previous interviews talking about Operation Gladio. And I'm sure most of you know I have my second book, The Lone Gladio, was my attempt to tell people, the readers, what I was gagged on, what I couldn't put in my nonfiction book. Because for classified woman nonfiction, I was bound all the legal, gags there. And not because of just a state secrets privilege, because you basically sign these documents when you start working for these intelligence or law enforcement agencies. And as part of that, you basically pledge and sign a contract saying, if I ever write a book that in any way relates, nonfiction books, right? Relates to my work and what knowledge I gained, while I was in the FBI or if someone was in the CIA, I have to first submit this book so they can go through it, redact whatever they want to redact, and then publish, right? And as you know, they redacted my entire book, but I still didn't put the things in there because knowing that no way, I mean, I would be in jail immediately. And the way they had all the blackout on the media, nobody even would know about the fact that I'm in jail. But I made this pledge to myself and to those people around me, people who knew me, and I said, as soon as I finish writing this, I'm going to write a fiction book because I am not under any obligation, any contractual obligation to submit my fiction book to anyone. As long as I change the names, change tiny bit the situations, okay, I can write a fiction and say, look, this is a fiction and this is where the truth lies, which everybody knew at the time. Anyhow, so if you have read The Lone Gladio, then you really, really know. Those of you who haven't read The Lone Gladio, you may consider, you may want to read it. It's like real truth out there, okay? And it's all about Operation Gladio 2.0, Operation Gladio B. Now, I wanted to tell you about a little bit about 1970s with my own direct firsthand experience in Turkey, in Istanbul. I would be about 7 years, 6, 7 years old, and how it was taking place. The same kind of stuff they were doing in Italy, they were also doing internally in Turkey. Okay. And we lived through it. My family, my entire family, we all lived through it. Similar kind of things. It was this period of people would also refer to it as the anarchy period in Turkey. Okay, and in one incident we had, which was less than 1 kilometer, about half a mile from the apartment where we lived, there would be a minibus. You had like these big buses, and then you have these mini buses that instead of, let's say, 60 people, it fit maybe 20 people in it. These groups, okay, stop the minibus and they gun down people. Or it would be in this marketplace shopping mall, there would be people gone down. There were these assailants who went into some student dorms and murdered, butchered some students, right? With every one of these bloodshed terror incidents in Turkey, in Istanbul, immediately the newspapers would say, yeah, this was done by the communist sympathizing, Soviet loving communist Turks, right? And we have arrested them. There would never be anything presented to the public in the newspapers. And back then, the TV didn't even run 24 hours. This was the early years of television in Turkey. At 4 p.m., you would have that TV warm up, and then there would be some program, some news, and a little bit of like a foreign, like when I say foreign, US movie, The House on Little Prairie, whatever. And then it would end at 10 p.m. So nobody ever got to see any evidence, and the trials were all like covered up with the military tribunals. But everybody believed that this was done by the bloodthirsty, right, violent, leftist, socialist, communist loving, Soviet ass kissing jerks, murderer, terrorists, right? And the level of polarization, which was by majority being against anything left and liberal, because the word left, liberal, socialist, that let's say the socialists that had no sympathy for the Soviet Union, no sympathy for communism, they were all in the same bucket. They were the leftists, right? These were the blood sucking, murdering, rabid leftists. And the conversation, like I remember the conversations, you know, some family members, not my father, but family members, maybe my ultra nationalist, uncle, it would be the neighbors, right? And the conversation went like this, we all must have guns in our houses, in our apartment units, because and these people, right, their ultimate goal is to come and invade our homes, right, and take away our cars because they don't have it, and they believe, the ones who don't have should have the privilege, have the right, they are entitled to go take away from the ones they have, right? So they're gonna come, they're gonna rape our daughters in our own house. Oh my God, I mean, I am not exaggerating here, people. I am not exaggerating here. My grandfather brought two pistols, because we didn't have second amendment, it was not legal, but during that period, anybody who could would, they were buying guns. And I remember one of the guns, because my sister was 3 years old, because they wouldn't tell us, they didn't have a gun safe, like they wouldn't tell us where they were hiding it. So we kind of were, of course, as kids, you can think of all sorts of unlikely places. Back then, in water closet, the bathroom, the commode area, the flushing system was up there. Like there was like this chain that you pulled. So it was not like one piece is built into your commode. I don't even know what prompted us. We decided, she and I, to go and just put the lid on top of the commode, step on it, go and lift that lid there. And then we saw this gun that was like wrapped in something that was similar to saran wrap and duct tape to the lid there. Then we came to the living room. It's like, Grandma, Grandpa, guess what? We found the gun. We found the gun. I'm trying to give you the flavor of what happens and how magnificently this strategy of tension worked. It really worked, right? So then there would be this equal level of hatred, look, and animosity and tension, right? From the right wing and the nationalists and even the middle ground people towards the left, right? The communist loving, Soviet ass kissing, murderers, they want to bloody our daughters and rape our, all that. We went through that period. And it was during that period that my mother told my father, she said, you got this proposal from Shah, this is Iran, to go and open this specialized hospitals for the burned victims. And my mother didn't want to go, right? I don't want to go to a country. I don't even speak the language. What we going to do? All my family, our family's here. My mom told my dad, he's like, accept that offer and we need to leave because they're gonna come, they're gonna rape the girls, and they're gonna, it's like, that was totally the state of mind, right? State of emotions, right? Not really rational, not evidence based. Nobody's doing any investigative work. You don't have internet, right? You swallow everything that is given to you. And we left, right? We left in late 1977 and went to Tehran. And my dad was a professor, and so he's a surgeon, doctor, but also taught in university, opened the hospital for Shah, and all that. Now, following this with the fertile ground, meaning the susceptibility, right? What did the majority want, right? What did they want? They wanted their government, their military, their police force, and God willing, the United States of America, hopefully, Western world to step in, butcher these communists, torture them, kill them, put them in jail, make them go away, and restore order and safety and security to protect the godly people. Okay? Because the godly people, because they believed in religion and they believed anybody on the left, they were atheists, communists, socialists, whatever it is, they were evil. Okay, they were just evil. They were coined as evil. I'm talking about university students in medical school. They were all evil. Okay, blue collar workers, they were all evil. Middle class and above, they were the righteous good ones, the godly ones, and everything, right? And then anybody below middle class, basically working class, all those people were evil, and they had their eyes set on people's houses and cars and daughters and sons. Okay, so after we left, within a year and a half, 2 years after that, 3 years after that, the revolution happened in Iran. And all that. So we had to come back to Turkey. I mean, we basically fled. We were like war refugees. Back to Turkey. Right around this point, there was the military coup in Turkey. It was the United States of America, Central Intelligence Agency, US military, and certain faction of Turkish military. They implemented a major big coup. Okay. And this is exactly around the time when we came back from Iran to Turkey. So, in a period like 4 years, I mean, think about it. As a child, I went from this anarchy and terror period, Operation Gladio A, in Turkey, like, right, first hand experiences, into Iran and Shah's regime. We all went through the revolution. In fact, my father participated in the revolution, like, and then Islamic regime coming in there with all their, Islamic laws and everything. And Iran and Iraq war, my dad was taken there. Then we come back as war refugees back to our home country, to Turkey. And we come within a few months, there's a military coup. Okay. So military coup takes place. And, we were under curfew for years, for 4 or 5 years. In Istanbul, in our neighborhood, like after dark, you have to have government permission to be out in the street. I kid you not. We had military patrolling the streets. Tens of thousands of people were rounded up, right? You know who were these people? Some of the best authors, like in their 40s and 50s, who were liberal. They were not communists. They were liberal. They were rounded up. Dozens and dozens of journalists, right? Many, many students, as I said, medical university students, right? Some members of, some Kurdish people, some minority from Alevi groups who were like a minority religious ethnic groups. They were all rounded up. No habeas corpus. There is like no Fourth Amendment or anything. There is nothing. There is no trial. I mean, this is like Congo. There's no judge. There's no jury, nothing. They were rounded up. Many of them were jailed for over 10, 15 years. Some of them were killed, assassinated. Many of them were tortured. And we still have thousands of people, like Argentina's, missing people. There is no answers like, nope, we don't have records of these people in the jail. Well, you rounded them up. What happened to them? We don't know. In Istanbul, even today, during this era, it's like I don't know if it's a Friday or a Sunday. You will see these old ladies, hundreds, if not thousands of them. They go and sit on this public square in Istanbul's downtown, and they're holding these like posters, like their sons and their daughters, pictures. They're still waiting for answer. It's been 45 years. I mean, I'm talking about 85, 90 years old women. Exactly. Just like Chile. That was completely Operation Gladio A. And it accomplished, right? It brought the US, the military base, the military in there, the coup, arrested anybody, from the liberal left, right? And with the public's, with the manufactured consent, they were welcomed in many ways. People saying, "Yay, you're coming to our rescue. And you are our saviors because this big, bad, liberal, leftist communists, they're going to kill us," right? Now, why did I want to share my own story and this example as an example is because of the title and the subject line that I put for this podcast. I said I'm gonna be presenting as good as I can. Okay, I'm gonna do my best that the presentations are good. During our last live, I talked about the fact that I don't have the resources, I don't have video editors. Otherwise, I would love to do what I used to do, was what I was able to do, have a small production team, like one editor, like one camera person to sit down and make it really nice with all the pictures, with all the information and some clips and some videos and highlighting some articles for you. That makes it so much more enjoyable, right? Because not only is like the audio, you're hearing it, but also it's visual presentation. And it also sinks even deeper. And all of us with that deeper, you know, thought process and understanding, we can engage even in more critical discussions together, right? Anyhow, so I mentioned that, but it's going to be, again, I'm going to be delving into the area, Afghanistan and Turkey and Pakistan. And then we're going to delve into Central Asia, Caucasus. We're going to have at least one or two episodes on Chechnya, right? Then China's Xinjiang region, aka East Turkestan. So all of that is like, okay, outside the United States, even though it's being implemented by the deep state, Operation Gladio, and the US, CIA, etc. But the subject line for this was, let's have a discussion this Sunday based on this example, based on our just initial warm up Gladio thing to the United States domestically today, without going back to history. What happened in Turkey, Operation Gladio A, right? And a lighter version of it in Italy, right? What that makes you think of when I recount the experience of what happened, right? Anyone here? Exactly, Africa as well, Fireman John. When I was in Oregon, because isn't it amazing? I mean, you would think a statistical chance for it. Okay, see, I'm not being sidetracked. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back to what we were talking about. Look, uh, I had to be in the heart of it during the anarchy. I had to be in the heart of it during the revolution, right in the middle of it in Tehran. I had to be in the heart of it with the Islamic regime being created. Then I was in the heart of the coup, right? During 9/11, on that day, September 11, 2001, we were living less than 1.5 mile, 1.25 mile from Pentagon in Old Town Alexandria, DC area, right? In the heart of it, being in the United States, I'm like half Azerbaijani, half Turkey, right? Then I come to the United States, I'm like right there on 9/11. And then we left Washington, D.C. I didn't want to be in the real red light district. I just had it, by 2009, 2010. I'm like, I want to get out of here. So in 2012, we moved to Oregon, eastern part of Oregon, not Portland, but Bend, Oregon. So we moved there. And lo and behold, 4 or 5 years later, we are in the middle of all these Antifa stuff because Portland, Oregon was like in the heart of all these statues being overturned and turned, and these incidents like stores being torched and the cars being torched and people being stabbed and everything. And that, right, to me, it's when you have seen this stuff to say, you know what, that, Ron, I know we left band. We we basically ran away in 2018, late 2018. But think of it also. Switch hat and say, who really believes here that these are organically created events with Antifa, right? And with the BLM and all these like the criminal conduct. I'm talking about torching, break-ins. I mean, this horrible, horrible, horrible acts of violence, right? And as a result, we also, what was created for every action, there is a reaction, right? And the reaction being a far right being created, right? In response to that action and saying, okay, that's exactly what the liberal left is about, right? Because between all the gender thingies, LGBTQWXYZ stuff, and then the store torching and people stabbing. And I mean, look at these people. I mean, this stuff they're doing. And I'm hearing, right now, when I just turn on something on on the yeah, I'm looking at the comments right now. So many of these have been a setup, of course. I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory or a hypothesis why the corporatist George Soros would actually pay and recruit people to go and pose as and do Antifa stuff, right? Torch and kill and stab and whatever, right? Why? Ask yourself. George Soros, a billionaire, a corporate, mega corporate guy. Not only him, there are other stuff, and I have saved some articles for you that it's not out there. I haven't seen it anywhere else. Bill Gates and some of the NGOs they set up and how they set up and the funding and the hundreds of millions of dollars they put in it. So the ones who are paying, right, and encouraging and creating this, wanting this, okay, all of it, happen to be the big corporatist billionaires. What is the advantage for the billionaires to have that created, right? They are not liberal leftists. They are not right wing. They are the deep state. What is their agenda, right? Why fund them? What is the ultimate goal, right? And isn't this what we have been seeing in the United States? Exactly what was called during Operation Gladio, the strategy of tension. Hello? Are we seeing tension around us? And the level of tension? I mean, it's like a pressure cookware. Like you're cooking in this high pressure. It is exploding. And what is it creating? I again, I'm not poking fun when I'm saying it's a bit spooky because I have lived through all this stuff. I know. I mean, you get this built-in radar based on your experiences, and it gives you that chill that simultaneously, I'm not talking about people who have been devout all their lives. You're getting these figures created, and they're all doing these very phony way of hallelujah thingy. And I found the light kind of a thing. Unlikely figures, like figures who were in they were on the other side until recently. They found God all of a sudden. And I'm listening. You know why I'm listening? It's not because I'm enjoying life. Some of the stuff are actually very interesting, good. They're doing it a good job. And I'm gonna delve into it more and more because that's a separate track than just going through these podcasts on Operation Gladio, because oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. Because I'm tuning in to some of these. So I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes on the escalation, you know? Like one particular figure, again, with 20 million or whatever follower. First, it started a little bit mild, that it's like conservative versus the extreme, left and thing. Then it was seasoned with a little bit more of like, the religious little, a little flavoring going into it, right? A little bit more, a little bit more, and then I'm seeing, and now it's going like 1 degree higher. Okay, I'm not here bashing religion or anything. I'm saying with just like with Operation Gladio A and Gladio B, they always have to bring in co-opt and exploit the religion aspects of it, no matter what the religion is. Whether in Italy during Operation Gladio A is Vatican, right, having to say, okay, we want the Catholics on our side on this, and we're going to we're going to get their blessing, and we actually going to have, as part of this operation, our own operatives within Vatican to clap and say, yeah, these are Soviet sympathizers and they are the ones who did it. Now, all documentation coming out, they were all executed per order, training, ammunitions like the bombs provided by the CIA and some of the CIA cells within, NATO, to the ultra nationalist, ultra right wing people in Italy who actually executed those terror incidents. Now, fast forward to 1970s, when I said this happened and the coup happened and everything, right? Everybody from 1970s, mid 70s, right, all the way till 1998, the people in Turkey were under still the belief, assumption and belief that those were all those communist loving, left wing, liberal, blah, blah people who did it. But then there was Susurluk incident, right? And I'm going to get into it. Don't worry about it. Say, what? What did you say, Susurluk? What the heck is that? I'm going to cover all those. It's going to come up. What happened is some incident happened. And just like this guy doing his PhD, writing this book, some documents ended up becoming public. And the secrets of Operation Gladio A and the states and the deep state all got exposed, that those terror incidents, people being gunned down in Istanbul in 1970s, those terror acts, not one, not two, not five, every single one of them were committed, implemented, ordered by the Operation Gladio A deep state, the CIA, right? But by the state actors, these are people within the Turkish police force, ultra nationalist, ultra right wing, right? Turkish military, intelligence units, recruiting and doing it via ultra right wing, ultra nationalists. We call them gray wolves, the member of Gray Wolves Party. Not a single, not one of those acts, terror acts, were committed by some commie, some left wing lunatic, the Soviet ass kissing. None of them. Now, I'm not saying majority, every single one of them, people. Again, let's fast forward, put ourselves in this lunatic era we entered with all this LGBTQ, WXYZ, and this mask wearing. They have their own flags inside Seattle, Portland, the horrific things. You're watching it on CNN. They are attacking the cars, which they are, right? Who are these people? Why these billionaires are funding them? Who wants to create the strategy of tension? What is the ultimate goal? Take a look at what they are also simultaneously the same people. The billionaires, right? The billionaires, the corporatist billionaires. On one side of it is the corporatist billionaires, the Soroses and the Gates. On the other side of it, you get the whatever Edelman and you get the Musk and you get the whatever, right? These people, they're not ideologue people. They're not ideologues. They don't have ideology of left or right. Deep state has never had that. It's about the empire. It's about the power. It's about the power to control for their agenda of expanding this power. It's the God complex. And there are little things that they are creating, these little minions. They have Messiah complex. And they are attracting not hundreds of thousands, tens of millions of people. They're escalating the message, the propaganda. And it's being done so suavely and very, very savvily because they're pro in human psychology. I mean, they are the masters of the human psychology. What I'm saying is the warm up, the warm up, warm up, because in one of the recent stuff, I heard this line that said, and these people, they are basically antichrist, they are demonic, the left, right? And those antifa people, I'm not saying they're not despicable, disgusting people. I'm saying like the whole left, anybody who in any way, as I said, in Turkey, it was the medical students, they were the journalists, they were the poets, they were the writers, they were all sorts of people who were like, they were musicians. Saying those, all of them, anybody basically, because they're all like now on the far left. Because yeah, there is some extreme there, but I don't even want to call it left. I don't know what the heck it is, people. It is some creation. It's like a creature colony they created, right? So saying they are antichrist, they are demonic, and they keep using the word satanic and demonic. I want to do a YouTube show, and I want to actually, my title is going to have both because I want to talk to that. Because I don't hear really anyone talking to that, because the same corporatist billionaires people who are doing their own show, I don't know what they are called, Jim Dory, I don't have network, I don't watch those stuff, they are doing the same thing. They are fanning the flame, and they are implementing this strategy of tension, right? Like they are making fun of Jesus Christ, the kinds of hot button issues to inflame the other side even more, right? So they are part of it. They're all working for the same people. So yeah, this particular person, satanic antichrist, and then saying, and they're coming. They are thirsty as Satans for the unborn, children, the fetuses, the Christian fetuses, and they want to, like, oh my God. But remember, I also went through the Islamic Revolution, and we had Ayatollah Khomeini and the Sharia law kind of people there. There is no difference whatsoever when it comes to that kind of extremism that is actually artificially co-opted and created by those with agenda, manipulated, exploited, and made into some kind of a weird crap that has nothing to do with religion. It's all about control and power. And throughout my life, living in so many different countries, being, as I said, it's my destiny. I have to be right in the middle, in the center, epicenter of any place, any crap happening. I end up finding myself right in the center. It's like, how is that possible? I have never seen any difference between any religious extremism. They're all the same when they are exploited and created as this extremism for the purpose of the deep state. Whether it's the Islamic extremism, whether it's the Jewish, Orthodox Jewish Zionist extremism, whether it's the Christianity in its extreme formats. When you are planting all these seeds of tension and paranoia and fear and hatred, lots of hatred, I'm hearing the same exact sentiments and words being expressed that I did when I was in Istanbul, and they were going to come and they were going to rape our daughters, and they were going to do this and they were going to do that. So, with that was the reason, and that was the whole thing, to open it for discussion. That I'm not getting sidetracked. Trust me, I'm going to get back to what I was just saying. One of the bad things is we have these kind of things, people, your comments here. Wow, I have been looking. Have you noticed, like when I was talking, the YouTube live thing, I'm like looking up at the ceiling, is because it's so weird. I kind of got conditioned and trained after having practice looking at the big camera we had for our YouTube recordings back when I had Newsbud and etc. And it was actual camera with like this big lens, and then, like you can actually look into it. Now I did this thing that I did with YouTube with the backside of the phone, right? And it just felt so kind of eerie and unnatural to look at the three circular lenses of the little tiny phone sitting there on the tripod. That's why I was like looking up, like I can't look at that lens anymore. I have to work on that. But anyhow, what I was saying was the comments and things you're putting here gets they disappear. Like once the live ends, I can, I say, okay, post it as a post. So people who couldn't join us this evening, they can go, tomorrow and listen to it. But these comments, it doesn't keep all these comments and things. And I think that is something that we need to bring to Patreon's attention and say, I mean, come on, you guys have all these experts, technology experts. Just put that thing there so that we can have these comments, because then I can go, because the moment I hang up, and I end this, then I can't come back and read your comments. And but I want to, I want to. So they better solve this, otherwise we're not going to be happy with them. Not if I don't participate. Okay, I think I missed something. Oh, welcome, French fried fool. Oh, I saw your name popping because I get an email alert when we get a new member. It says you have a new member at Patreon. So welcome, French fried fool. And as soon as I saw your name, I just suddenly had this craving for French fries. I know this is French fried. I'm like, when was the last time I had this? In Bend, Oregon, there was this place that made the best French fries, so crisp, not absorbing much oil, and they had it with truffle or plain. So I don't know. I saw, so that stuck with me. So now I just recognize. So welcome. Thank you for joining our community. Um, so yeah, people. Um, I have to be better organized to read this thing, so that I can read if there is any questions. Maybe I will allow this next 10 minutes for you to throw in some questions, some discussion point on this particular thing. I that innate thing that I had referred to, and I know repeatedly I'm referring to it, and it is there in my gut, in my built-in radar, and per all past experiences, that that is alarming me. And I'm not here to be an alarmist. Trust me, we have plenty of these alarmist people, and they are everywhere on every front, right? I'm looking at, the stuff on real estate, like talk shows, like the ones that again have lots of followings, and it's so horrifically uh, scary, like all the horrible things that are coming, and they are horrible, I understand. But if I listen, let's say for 30 minutes, I'm going to have like anxiety attack. Then there's this thing with our currency and dollar as a currency, and of course this artificially bubble stock market, and it's going to be the biggest crash, and it's going to be like 1929, it's going to be the Great Depression. And then there are people on the right who are talking about the fetuses are going to be taken out and raped. And then the left one is saying that and this. And so the last thing I want is to get together with you in a community and talk about all these reasons that we are just being destroyed, and not that kind. So when I'm saying I have this in my gut feeling saying this is Operation Gladio. This carries what we see, and we see a lot of it here in the US, but I'm telling you, it's global. I just came back. Um, I was in Greece for 2 weeks. Yesterday, no, Friday, the Department of State issued travel advisory for Greece. Okay, this is not for Pakistan, Afghanistan, for Greece. And what did I tell you? Well, I was in Greece and I love, like, I have family. I have my roots there. Part of my roots are there. There was a lot of tension, and there was a lot of unhappiness, and there was a lot of sadness, and there was a lot of worry because economically they are in like really collapse kind of a situation. The tax increase to combat it is breaking their backs, right? And they have their own things. Now, with all that tension and stress and worry, it always happens. You also want to blame the nearest thing to you, right? That you can find to blame, because there are so many reasons. Number one is the COVID theater. I'm not going to go and say them. I was screaming and telling people, don't comply with this crap. They're going to bankrupt you. They want to bankrupt these countries, because when you have that kind of economic crises, right? And this one global, how many countries can weather 2, 3 years of shutdown economically, other than the superpower empires, right? Like, okay, the US is okay, I believe I can weather, when we can protect our billionaires, but I could smell it, I could sense it. There was no travel advisory or anything, but the State Department issued travel advisory on Friday saying the petty crime is on the rise, and there you're going to be surprise protests. Some of them, have potential of getting violent, which they haven't had so far, but it's brewing there, and it fuels it when, on top of everything, you add the economic tension. Oof, talk about the souped up strategy of tension at play, right? And so it's global as well. But here we are in the United States talking about this, and I'm telling you, it's Operation Gladio. It's the strategy of tension at work. Now we also need to delve to really get down and figure out the ultimate real agenda. Because I said, like in Turkey, for example, the parallels here I'm creating was that, okay, so when that happened, right, people, the mentality, the emotions, right, the psyche, right, the psyche of people was formed. The consent was manufactured to say, we want the iron fist of our state, our government, our military and police to step in and be our great savior. If you want to bring the Americans, fine, just do it, right? Now, aren't we hearing the same kind of things? I'm not saying it's not warranted. Look what's happening to Portland and everything. But they created it so that this would be the case. That's what I'm saying. To say, great federal government, our savior, National Guard, military, step in. Do what you must. Let's have coup. Let's have curfew, right? We need to end this, and we are ready for it, we the people, because we don't want to get murdered. We don't want them to take over our houses and cars, just like what we had. And let's go one step further. Who rules the federal government? All of it. If you want to talk about the legislative branch, the Congress, I'm sure there are 5, 10 good ones, and then that leaves 400 unaccounted for, right? Well, the whores for the mega corporations. That's what they are. When was the last time, do you remember, Congress doing anything for the good of the people? No, seriously. Whether it's on corruption, whether on accountability, whether on any investigations. I don't care. Start from every one of them. You can go back even before 9/11, but let's start with 9/11. My goodness, everything is just out there floating. No investigations, no results. Everything is in a black hole. Nobody has been held accountable. Mega corporations are being bailed out right and left. 2008 collapse. Guess what? Whose money did they get to give it to the trillionaires to bail them out? Well, their CEOs were making and had been making, and they continue to make salaries in 50, $60 million a year, and they needed a bailout. And half of our population can't afford healthcare. So, what I'm saying is looking up, saying, come save us, thou the savior, our government, right? Well, who owns the government? Who rules the government? Is the deep state. Is the mega group of mega corporations with their agenda. So, meaning power is actually that's the power they are turning into, and those people are the ones. That's what I'm saying. That satanic part. That's the cult. That's the God complex. Because it is not money. After certain points, it is no longer money, right? When you get to be Gates or Musk or whoever, Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these people, yeah, up until like the 1 billion and 10 billion and 20 billion, that's a big motivator, right? It goes beyond money because you and I can't imagine right now if we want to say, all right, like not empathy, but let me put myself in Bill Gates' shoes. Well, we can't. I mean, you're in the shoes of a person. Imagine you have $100 billion. You can buy the entire United States Congress. You can buy the entire Italian parliament. You can buy the entire Turkish parliament, right? I mean, you know how much $200 billion can buy you? You can buy everybody, right? And they say everybody has a price. So once you pass that threshold, and you have gotten there, you have passed that threshold, and you have bought these people, right? You have pocketed them. These senators are yours. These congressmen are yours. The head of the FBI is yours. CIA is your butler, is your servant. Right? Then it's impossible for those people, I mean, not to have the hubris. And when I say the God complex, I mean it like literally. I'm not being ironic, and I'm not being, it's not like allegorical thing. There is, and that may be one different explanation for what the other was like satanics and demons. Like, yeah, we are gods. And we don't want to only rule the United States and this. We are running the world. It's global. And what do they want as God? That's how we need to think about it. You know, I don't know how many of you watched as I was just talking. I just had a flashback to that movie, Al Pacino's, what was it, The Devil's Advocate? Any of you watch that movie? I mean, he's an incredible actor, Al Pacino. I'm just like he is like my top five list of actors. But do you remember his monologue? Satan versus God, like devil versus God, and he had this unbelievable. I mean, he delivered it so magnificently. This monologue on God and devil, and which one would you want to work for, and I just had the flashback. It's like, my God, it's so applicable, it is so applicable. And yes, it's a cabal. There's a deep state because as I told you, like, the prime minister didn't even know. So it's not like, oh, it's the government. Those figureheads come and go, and they serve the interest from the president to the vice president to the congressman to the senator to the head of the CIA and the generals. It's which one of our wars, global wars, in the last 150 years has served the interests of the people, anybody on either side of the battleground, that side or this side. It's been just lose, lose, lose for humanity. But as I said, I'm not doing it because we have an amazing group here, who all of you. That's why you're here. You're critical thinkers. There is very little I can teach you, so I don't have any kind of misconception or arrogance saying I'm here teaching and let me tell you how. No, it's not. In 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 many ways, it's a dialogue because when I say I feel it in my gut and per experiences and per any knowledge that I have gathered, and I'm now over half a century old, and I'm looking at the situation on the ground, and and I'm seeing Operation Gladio, and if so, I know. Because I would ask Sue, I was going to say, you're going to say, well, what can we do about it? Let's say, what can we do about it? Here we are, there is 14 of us, and pretty much we're all in agreement, right? What can we do about it? I don't know, but one thing I know, and that is because of my accent, it didn't really it didn't record, or it didn't sound right when I was saying we are the silenced majority. It was not that we are the silent majority. I was trying to say I still believe there is a silenced, as in silenced with ed at the end, majority, that that is about illusions, because obviously they because that also goes as because they can do it, because they are the gods of algorithm, they are the gods of they are the technocrats, right? They are the gods of the X and Facebook and YouTube. I mean, that is the deep state's playground, people. So it's the deep state's rule, deep state's playground to serve deep state's objective. And the deep state's objective is Operation Gladio, strategy of tension for global God ruling, kind of a ruling, right? So, of course, this plan would absolutely work as they want, how they want, without a glitch. If you and I, right, and the rest of the silenced majority like us, look and say, oh my God, look at this, look at this, look at this, 20 million followers, 17 million, look at the thumbs up. These are all the extreme right wing, like planting hatred and implementing their bosses' strategy of tension. Same with the left side, going to the left, whether it's on the Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on the CNN's comment section. They're like, oh my God, look at this. There are millions, tens of millions of the baby killing, the commie, whatever they are called, left wing people, and they are all like all their supporters, and that's it. There's that front and there's that front, and there's nothing else, people. There is nothing else that I could find. Just maybe a few pockets, like the pocket we have here. We have our own small pocket here, right? I'm sure like people are saying, oh, there is a site called Substack or something like that. I have never been there. I'm challenged with technology and I'm not a social media buff, but there are small pockets. So I'm sure that, oh, for example, that's a very good website, the Patreon page, Aaron Good. I gave him the interview. Yeah, he sounds like just like one of us. He's not the extreme this and that. He is also a believer of Operation Gladio and has been has never stopped, right? And he also sees that you have this, not organically, but by purpose, with purpose, created extremes, and with the strategy of tension at play, and is ongoing and is escalating. So, what I'm trying to say is the question should be, well, their playground is their playground, right? We there is nothing we can do, or is there? Going on X or YouTube. Like I was banned during COVID, trying to say, hey, it's like, okay, shut up, you're out. We ban you. Well, yeah, they shut us up. They shut up all these doctors who tried to come and warn the public, right? So it's their playground, is their rule. And if we are, I mean, we see that this is their game, and we want to show ourselves to more people from that silenced majority who don't know we exist here in this pocket, right? And we want to know the pockets where they exist. And somehow, I'm thinking out loud here, okay? I'm thinking out loud. And somehow we can, uh, we can, we, I don't want to say prove, to acknowledge, to have the acknowledgement by us, the silent majority, that we are still we are the majority. Meaning, sure, maybe there are 20 million followers, maybe it's 2 million, we don't know. But it's the psychological warfare, and it's a psychological tactic to say it's a done game, people. What is it? Our population is 348 million. Let's say of that 280 or 250 million adults, right? 100 million is on far left, 100 million is the far right. This one calls that one killer, that one calls the other one baby killer. There is no hope left. I mean, that's it. We are all destroyed. How do we counter that and show that we, to be or not to be, okay, we are, therefore we exist, and we are the majority, and the rest of it is illusion. And the moment people who are like us give up or give in to the belief that there are very few of us, they the game is over, they have won, is inevitable. Civil war is inevitable because there are hundreds of millions of people in this country on this right and left to this degree, and they're gonna and you know what I'm trying to say here? I want us together to figure out how to let them know we are here, and for us to know in the pockets that they are, and somehow, even though it's their playground, until at least I'm kicked out again, whether it's from the YouTube or it's from the X, even though we hate it, we say it's their playground. We have to kind of be a little bit shrewd and say, how can we, the little few moments we have, that's why I'm still posting on X, not like many posts. I'm like, Sabelle Edmonds here, I'm going to have live, and it's, open to all. Just come here, join our community, right? Well, I ended up reaching some of you here because I was MIA and I didn't know how to let you people know, hello, I'm still here, partially recovering from the PTSD, but it's still here. Let's get together, right? When we did that YouTube live thingy, well, I think we got at least dozen of people who found out, hey, she's somehow back and she's not all gone. And maybe some of them are now getting to know that here we have this community on Patreon. So what I'm trying to say is, while we try to figure out other ways to let people know that we are here and find out where they are and somehow connect, like Aaron Good, I'm at his side too, I'm a member of his side. Until then, let's use their playground and still kind of, I know it's kind of tiring, whether it's retweeting, whether it's sending the links to the people we know, because sure, they are messing up with everyone's algorithm, but there is a degree, they mess with some people more than others. And of course, I committed their seven deadly sins, the top sin in there, talking Operation Gladio. This guy, Daniel Gansner, right? He wrote this book, like it's amazing, right? All documented. It's a PhD book for his PhD, right? And this book was made poof, poof, invisible, just like my long gladio, like my classified woman. But this guy's book was made invisible all this time. Came out in 2004, right? Do you know when he started being called for interviews? And actually, now he's giving speeches all over Europe just a year and a half, 2 years ago, because there is this reawakening, some kind of a kindling, maybe from pockets like our pocket here. So they organized the speech arena for him in Berlin. He's gonna be somewhere in Madeira, Portugal. Like he is in the speech circuit on Operation Gladio every week somewhere in Europe, and not by like those mainstream people. People like us, the majority, were like, we want to know more about Operation Gladio. We need to talk about Operation Gladio. So that's positive. But he's doing his part there, and he's doing like, his turf is in Europe. So what I'm saying, we need to do something while we are thinking and coming up maybe with suggestions and ways to expand our base and give to say, hope is not all gone. Don't let them make you believe that that's it and that is only thing left, the two extremes and nothing else, and just you the lonely one. No, no, that's not the case. Until then, we just every opportunity you get, invite them, come on over, let's get together. Let's get together and do this. Stop drinking bottled water. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's part of some kind of a chain of comments. Project Veritas. Yeah, I remember that. What's the name of the book? It's. Are you talking about Fireman John? Are you talking about Danielle Gansner's book? I posted it. It's on our Patreon page, my Patreon page. His interview, and when you click on the interview on YouTube, it's called Operation Gladio. That is the name of his book. And then you can find it even on Amazon. If you just type Operation Gladio, basically is his book, my book, and this guy that I don't know very well, so I can't vouch for him, Paul Williams. That's it. Can you believe that? This massive operation, which we're going to cover, how it was, what were the things done in Turkey and all the stuff, and 9/11, right? 9/11 is the grand firework of Operation Gladio 2.0. And then there's like three books ever related to Operation Gladio. And we only know of three people who have been talking out loudly on Operation Gladio and trying to expose it. Can you imagine this? Now, more people in Turkey. There are people in Turkey because when it got exposed in 1997 with Susurluk incidents and what happened, the parliament there had this inquiry, public inquiry, and so that there's much more awareness there. Same with Italy in 1990s, and they had their own parliamentary hearings, similar to our 9/11 commission and the Congress on 9/11 hearings. Even though 99% of it was covered up in Italy when they were doing it, still 1% got out. And even with that 1% getting out in Italy, it created a lot of uproar, but also awakening and awareness. Old Luce, yes. Max Blumenthal on anything or most thing Israel, I follow him, and I refer to him in my life as well, because he's been because I trust him, because he's been consistent, and because he hasn't change direction with the direction of the wind. This party comes and Max Blumenthal goes away. That party comes, Max Blumenthal speaks out. No, Max Blumenthal is like has a proven record. He's been consistent, and his expertise on Israel, I believe, is pretty much unmatched. And the other thing I appreciate with him is he really holds his own so well in any kind of debate situation. When he's invited by, let's say, antagonistic hosts because they just want to kind of, attack him and kind of make him look whatever ridiculous. I mean, nobody can defeat him. It's like, oh my goodness, when it comes to Israel lobby, Israel deep states, and everything that and how they operate, what they are doing, what the real facts are, what the real news is, what is the latest really on the ground in Gaza. There you go. You go to Max Blumenthal. He is the best source. As far as Operation Gladio and Turkey, as far as I know, I don't think it has been his area, but no, absolutely. And again, Max Blumenthal would be what I would also call the silenced majority. And think about it this way, right? Max Blumenthal has been loud and clear, saying all this with all the back data, all the supporting stuff for, my goodness, at least 20 years, right? And then, like, whatever following he had 3 years ago, 2 years ago, I don't think it's even 1 million. And then I'm telling you, the new ones who just found the light and they were on the opposite side and they come and then they're given 20 million. That's what I'm talking about. When it comes, let's say, on the issue of Israel. General's son is good on Israel. Okay, I remember that. See, the whole thing is I won't be able to come back and look at these comments because it's going to all disappear. But then once it goes up as a post, I hope you guys and ladies will come back and put, food for thought. That's what I call it. Just food for thought. Just pose a question. I may come and say, well, maybe this is an answer. Some of the other. So that way we are active in the comment section. So sure, we're going to have maybe one podcast per week that I'll post and one live. But through some of the posts I put there, I can just float a couple of questions. And then we can come for food for thoughts, questions for thoughts, and continue our chats that way. Okay. All right. And if there was a mass movement to stop paying our oh my goodness, I've been dreaming of that because Jeffrey, for me, it's always been such a personal thing, like having blood in my hand. Meaning how much of all that money is going to bomb and create this carnage around the world? How much of it goes through to corruptions, right? How much of it goes to the indoctrination places they have set up? They call it now American education schooling, which is like indoctrination camp. It doesn't matter which side's indoctrination. It's just the assault on critical thinking. It is like assassination of critical thinking. It's deadening of the soul and critical thinking, and that goes there. And and even like with the healthcare system, we supposedly our government spend more than any other government, but look at the prices and nobody has access to healthcare. It's crazy corrupt. And yes, I don't want to give any federal taxes. I'm with you on that. I wish we could, like Tea Party, say, that's it, we're not going to give our taxes. But meanwhile, I'm not going to let this go to the 2 hour mark again. As we are wrapping this up, people, please invite others. Um, and let's expand our base. Find ways, we do it here, and this will be at one home. I'm sure there are other homes, like Aaron Good has set up a home and he's been consistent with his home, and connect our homes together. And also yeah, let them know. Even if you let two people know, it's like, come, let's together end up doing these things. I want to thank you. Hey, Ron, I want to thank you all. Ron Thompson, when income taxes were instituted in 1913, they were supposed to be temporary. Ron, it's always the case. They are always meant to be temporary. TSA, the stuff we go through in the airport, it was until we defeated Al Qaeda or the terrorists. Well, ISIS and Al Qaeda, I don't know what happened to them. They have been put back in that genie's box or wherever. But yeah, it's permanent. Department of Homeland Security. None of these measures put in place has ever been, and that's true with by not only here, with any government, because that's the nature of governments. That's why I spent so much time in Prague going through that Kafka museum, and that is the nature of bureaucracy and government. It becomes its own thing to get bloated, it gets corrupted, it gets rotten to the core, and it becomes destructive force of a to destroy the whole nation. And that's why every now and then they have to be wiped out and start all over again at the beginning. Maybe that's how it was here, with the Constitution is still pure, that don't mess with the First Amendment thing. And then as time goes by, it corrupts itself. It becomes something else. It doesn't even resemble its original intent. And that is when we say, or the civilizations have said, it's time. And hopefully not via this violent kind of a civil war that they're trying to prepare us for and guide us toward. I hope it won't happen that way. Um, Hope so. That's a great idea. I never thought about it. We can give gift membership. I don't know how it's done in. You know how I'm doing it right now. French fried. Because of all the members here, I'm keeping it open. So even the members who can't pay, they can join us live. Like this live is not for paid members only. It's for all members. And the posts you see, the podcast the same. And we have very few people who are paying, but it was very touching, and I'm very thankful. Several members, for example, they increased what they were able to, they are able to contribute. You know what that does? That's almost like a subsidy, because with the inflation, with the state of economy, so many people are suffering because of that. I just don't have the heart. I just can't come and say, okay, if you're not paying at least $5 a month, it will be not open, or maybe I'll open it later. For now, I just want to keep it open. We'll figure it out as we go. To hopefully some who can pay more, they will pay more. But we're gonna keep it open. I'm gonna keep it open, and we're gonna find ways. Is as long as we keep the hope alive, we'll find ways. We just can't give in to this level of pessimism. Say the game over, it's all finished. Because I heard that, see that a lot too on all over social media. It's just like give up. It's like this is it. This is the end. No, 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 no. That's exactly what they want. That's exactly what they want. And yeah, we're alive. We're here, and there are so many of us. Uh, Again, thank you so very much for all your support, for joining me this late evening on Sunday. Okay. And I'm going to work on the podcast. I'm hoping it will be up on Wednesday or Thursday. Meanwhile, until then, I will find some other goodies for you, either some interviews or some articles. In fact, I have one in mind as I was talking about Turkey and Gladio and how it was exposed. I'm like, I should post that article. Hopefully, they haven't cleaned it up. You have no idea. So many of my interviews articles have been wiped out of the internet. Google it, and they are not there. And I know when they were written, and they used to be all over the internet. They have cleaned them up so they can make things disappear. It's their turf, it's their playground. I can't scream. It's all theirs. We are playing in their playground. Remember that. That's why we need to get stronger. But I will put some goodies for you in between things, besides the podcast and live. And once I have more courage gathered, I may do another YouTube, with the main purpose being hopefully more people find out that we are here and they will join us. With that, have a nice Sunday evening, the rest of it. Good night. And again, thank you all. Much love to all of you.